Imagine trying to solve climate change, right? But your solution is making it illegal to be married.
Which is, I mean, it's definitely not your standard policy proposal.
No, not at all. Today, we're doing a deep dive into a document that basically claims that recycling, carbon taxes, diplomatic summits, they're completely useless.
Right. It argues that the only way to save the planet from total ecological collapse is to, well, completely eradicate the traditional human family.
It's wild. We're looking at a highly radical, frankly mind-bending document from 2014. It's called A Letter to Earth's Citizens from International Big Family.
And it was authored by a figure named Zofeng.
Yeah, and when I say it's addressed to us citizens, I mean literally everyone. Like, it is formally addressed to you, the listener. It's addressed to the heads of every single government.
It even CCs the Secretary General of the United Nations.
Right, which is just a stunning level of ambition. It's like finding a message in a bottle addressed to the entire world, CCing the UN, and demanding a complete reboot of human society.
It casts an incredibly wide net. What's fascinating here is how it seamlessly blends these very urgent, universally recognized ecological warnings with moral mandates that would honestly rewrite human DNA.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because it's essentially demanding a total reboot, like we said.
Exactly.
But to understand why the author thinks we have to destroy society to save it, we first have to understand his diagnosis of, exactly why the world is breaking down.
Right. The letter starts by framing Earth as a small village in the vast universe.
A small village.
Yeah, and the author posits that all Earth villagers are children of what the text calls the greatest creator.
Okay, so a very unifying spiritual baseline.
Yes. The foundational premise is unity. The argument is that only when we are all together operating as a single, undivided entity can we actually stop these compounding crises.
Which, I mean, that makes sense on a surface level, right?
Sure, it sounds like standard environmentalism at first.
But the warning signs the author points to are super visceral. The text leans heavily into the frequently occurring natural disasters we see on the news.
And to drive that danger home, he uses a very specific, striking proverb.
Oh, yeah, the egg one.
Right. No eggs can remain unbroken when the nest is upset.
That is such a vivid image. Like, think of a bird's nest high up in a tree.
Exactly. The Earth itself is the nest. And we, along with our nations, our bank accounts, our personal lives, we are the eggs resting inside it.
So the text is arguing that our standard survival strategies, like fortifying our individual eggs, hoarding personal wealth, they're mathematically useless if the tree falls over.
If the nest hits the ground, the thickness of your individual eggshell does not matter at all.
It's game over for everyone.
Yeah. Clinging to traditional lifestyles and protecting our private interests, according to the author, just guarantees mutual destruction.
But here's where it gets weird. We hear about ecological and political crises all the time, but this text says the core of all these crises is actually a soul crisis.
Yes, a soul crisis.
What exactly does the author mean by a soul crisis, and why does he argue that stopgap measures won't work? Like, if I buy an electric vehicle, how does this manifesto view that?
It views it as treating a symptom while totally ignoring the underlying disease.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, any new environmental regulation or tech fix is an external solution. To the author, you cannot fix the planet through policy alone.
Because it requires, what, an internal fix?
Exactly. The external physical world is causally linked to our internal morality. The ecological collapse is just a mirror reflecting our degraded collective soul.
So, meaning purifying our souls is the primary task.
Right. It requires internal soul purification.
Which logically means you have to look at the institutions that are supposedly corrupting the soul. Which brings us to the chopping block.
And this is where the document crosses from a recognizable ecological warning into incredibly radical territory.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because to cure the soul of selfishness, the author says you have to destroy the institution that produces selfishness.
The text explicitly states, traditional marriage and family is no doubt the source of humanity's miseries and all kinds of conflicts.
Traditional marriage.
Yes.
It's like going to a doctor for a persistent cough, and their prescription is to completely demolish your house.
That is a very accurate way to put it.
I mean, how does the author bridge this massive gap between saving the environment and abolishing marriage? I'm trying to follow the logic.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it actually follows a strict, albeit extreme, internal logic.
Okay, walk me through it.
Well, think about evolutionary biology and sociology. Human beings are wired for kin selection. We naturally favor our own DNA.
Right, you prioritize your spouse, your kids, over a stranger.
Exactly. The author recognizes this and identifies that very love, the specific familial bond, as the root of resource hoarding and private interests.
Wait, so love itself is the problem?
Confined, traditional love is the problem, yes. Because you want your child to get into the best school, right? You want to buy the biggest house for your family, drawing on the Earth's resources to do it.
Oh, I see. It inherently creates an us versus them
Yes, so
dynamic.
by dismantling the family, the author aims to eliminate that very concept. Families create tribes. Tribes create nations. Nations create borders, armies, and industrial exploitation.
So it scales up logarithmically.
Yes. The author's deduction is that you cannot achieve universal harmony if your soul is constantly dividing the world into your family versus everyone else.
I want you, the listener, to just imagine that for a second. Imagine being asked to willingly give up your spouse, your kids, your parents, all for the abstract concept of the greater good.
It feels deeply unnatural.
Yeah, because it is unnatural by design. The author is quite literally trying to forcibly override human biology here.
It is a profound departure from almost every mainstream philosophy.
Hmm?
Most view the family as the foundational building block of society.
Right.
But this text views it as a cancer that has to be excised to save the host body, the Earth. The plea is for citizens to sacrifice a small part of their private interests for humanity.
But if you destroy the foundational building block of society, the family, you create a massive vacuum. You can't just delete it and leave everyone standing out in the cold.
You'd have total chaos.
Exactly. Something equally comprehensive has to replace it. Which leads us to the author's proposed alternative.
Right, the author understands that vacuum. So the text lays out a highly specific utopian vision. It introduces a concept called the new oasis for life.
Which used to be called the second home, right?
Yes. And it's implemented by a group called Lifechanyuan.
And to ground this wasn't just a guy typing in his basement. Lifechanyuan actually had successful practical experience. They established physical communal branches in China to put this into practice.
Right, they try to manifest this international big family. The vision is a space with absolutely no difference of nations, religions, or political parties.
Just one giant unified group.
Exactly. A place where everyone is respected and cared for. It paints a picture of ultimate harmony by removing the boundaries that define human interaction.
But, and this is a big, but this utopian vision hits a brick wall the second you introduce human nature.
How so?
Well, a commune without rules or traditional structures usually devolves into chaos. If you remove the family, the nation, the police, how do you account for human greed or theft?
That brings us to arguably the most fascinating philosophical argument in the letter. The text claims that massive crimes do not result from personal failing or inherent evil.
Wait, really? Then where do they come from?
They result entirely from the survival environment.
Wait, so the letter argues that personal responsibility isn't really the root of crime, just the environment. That is a massive assumption.
It is. It's a textbook definition of environmental determinism.
It's like saying, if a factory machine produces a defective part, you don't punish the metal part, you fix the machine.
Exactly. The author states explicitly that an undesirable survival environment produces crime. A good environment reduces it dramatically.
So if the environment is this new oasis where all basic needs are met and there are no family inheritances to fight over?
The motivation for crime just evaporates. That's the theory. Changing the traditional production and life mode is the ultimate priority.
Overriding all current political systems.
Yes, which leads to the author's audacious plea to the UN and world governments.
Oh, this is my favorite part. How does the author expect world governments to just hand over the keys and give the green light to this unproven global family model?
Well, the letter literally asks them to do just that. It requests they don't interfere for political reasons and that they support this one world, one family dream.
I just get a hilarious mental image of a UN bureaucrat reading their morning mail. Please sign here to dismantle your own government and end marriage.
That's highly unlikely, sure. But the author writes this with total sincerity, claiming they have the theory system ready to go.
They really believe they hold the blueprint for human survival.
They do. Because they look at the same fragmented, gridlocked international systems we all see and conclude those systems are just fundamentally incapable of saving the Earth.
And honestly, while the solution is extreme, it stems from a very relatable, universal human anxiety.
Absolutely.
Like, how on earth do we organize society when facing global-scale threats? We all feel the frustration of watching climate change get bogged down in private interests.
Because those problems don't respect national borders. The nest truly is shared. The manifesto just takes that rational frustration to its absolute logical extreme.
Right. If fragmentation is the problem, eradicate all fragments.
Exactly. Nations, religions, the family, eradicate them to save the whole.
It's been a wild ride unpacking this document today. Let's synthesize the journey we've just taken.
It really has been.
We started with an urgent warning about a broken nest and environmental disaster. Then we uncovered the diagnosis of a soul crisis.
Recognizing that external ecological decay is directly tied to internal human selfishness.
Right, which led us to the highly radical solution of dismantling traditional marriage and the family unit.
Because the author views them as the biological engines of division and resource hoarding.
And finally, we explored the massive utopian replacement, the unified new oasis for life, heavily relying on environmental determinism to keep the peace.
Assuming the governments of the world decide to just step aside, of course.
Of course. So what does this all mean? Why spend time doing a deep dive into a manifesto that demands the total demolition of society?
It's a valid question.
I think exploring these texts objectively allows us to see how differently people can view the exact same global challenges we all face. It exposes our own invisible assumptions.
It really highlights how deeply entrenched our biological and social constructs are.
Exactly. And that brings me to a final lingering thought for you to take away from this deep dive.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we spent a lot of time on the text argument about environmental determinism, the idea that our immediate survival environment dictates our morality and criminal behavior.
Right. Change the environment, change the soul.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, what does the invisible architecture of your immediate environment say about you? Look at the design of your city.
Is it built for community or isolation?
Exactly. Look at the layout of your home, or even the algorithms of your digital feeds. These are all intricately designed environments.
That's a really interesting point.
If the manifesto is right, and the environment dictates the soul, what behaviors are your daily environments silently programming into you?
Are they making you more connected or more isolated?
Are they teaching you to connect with the villagers of Earth, or just to build a thicker shell for your own little egg? Something to mull over. We'll catch you on the next one.